What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls coming up for y'all right around the corner on today's show. Earlier this morning, the Bulls made the announcement official. Derrick Rose will have his jersey retired January 24th when the Bulls host the Boston Celtics this upcoming season. We'll talk about it, make some predictions for who and what we might see that night. Plus, it's getting closer to training camp. We're about a month out. What will Billy Donovan's rotation look like in game one of the regular season? Who will the starters be? Who will his bench unit be? We're going to try and figure that out next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's my guy, Willie Gottlieb. Bam! Perfectly coiffed, Will_Gottlieb. And Queen of the Controls, one and only Katie Duffy. What up, Katie? Katie, are you excited about today's news? Your mic isn't working.
You seem excited, though, because you cooked on that thumbnail. I like that a lot.
Cooked? I mean, it's not breaking news when Katie cooks on a thumbnail. That's pretty much all she does. Not all she does, but I mean, she does it all the time. Yeah, so 10 a.m. Central Time earlier today, the Bulls on their various socials, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the whatnots, got a press release, email, made it official, GOAT. Everybody was trying to guess, trying to figure it out. What night would the Derrick Rose night be? Derrick Rose Part 2. January 24th. 2026. 2026 still sounds weird to say out loud, but that is a year that will happen halfway through this upcoming Bulls season. Join us for Derrick Rose Jersey Retirement Night when we officially add number 1 to the United Center rafters. The Bulls added that fans can join in and celebrate Derrick throughout the season by attending 4 different games during which the Bulls will give away collectible Derrick Rose figurines, GOAT. The 4 figurines represent 4 different chapters of Derrick's career. We can talk about those fun little figurine giveaways, but first, just initial reaction to the date, the opponent of the choice of Derrick Rose Retirement Night. You were talking on a recent show about how obviously 1/4/25 was significant because Tibbs, his former coach, and the Knicks were in town for his retirement ceremony, and that made a lot of sense. What do you make of this choice to do it against the Boston Celtics?
I guess like the 1/4/25 was sort of like I don't think they did that on purpose. I think it was just like
the symbolism of his jersey, his various jersey numbers, 1, 4, and 25.
Exactly. Obviously, 1 with the Bulls, 4
with the Knicks,
and 25 also with the Knicks, but also at Simeon. He obviously bounced around the league and wore some other jersey numbers as well. But the fact that it was that and it was also against the Knicks where Tibbs was coaching, like. It just was very serendipitous, and they weren't going to come up with anything on the schedule this year that could have reflected that. Probably why they should have done this all last year, among the many reasons. But yeah, I think they just needed to like pick a day. It's going to be a game against the Celtics, which hopefully will be a good game. I don't know that they'll do it. I haven't heard anything like hard on this, but I wonder if it's going to be like during halftime or if they'll move it until after the game.
I believe I read in the press release that they say it's going to be a post-game ceremony.
Okay, so I missed that. Which
I found interesting.
Yeah, which means there will be more time to like.
Right, you're not pressed to squeeze it into a halftime ceremony.
Basically, what happens during those halftime things is like they give you 15 minutes for halftime, and then they extend it to 20 when you have a ceremony like that. And so you're still squeezing it in. You still have to do like warm-ups for all the players coming out of the locker room. The coaches still have to go in the locker room and like do their spiel. And so it's a little tight. So I think this just gives them a little bit more flexibility. It will allow them to spend a little bit more time on it and, raise the jersey into the rafters where it belongs. But yeah, I just think they kind of needed to pick a day and just any random day in January makes sense. I mean, it's like the only question now is like, where does this where is this relative to the Ring of Honor, which will also be on the schedule at some point this year.
So, and I was wondering, I just looked now because I didn't look earlier this morning. Was it like, is it in the middle of a long homestand? Is that part of the reason why they chose? And it's not. The Bulls are at Minnesota the Thursday prior to this Saturday night game when they're back home against the Celtics. They also play home against the Lakers that following Monday, but then they're back on the road against the Pacers that Wednesday. So just a 2-game homestand, and the first of a 2-game homestand against two of the more iconic franchises. Maybe that's part of the reason why you're playing the Celtics at home, then you're playing the Lakers at home.
And like Saturday night home game, I think that probably plays into it too. I'm sure there are more of those.
Was it a weeknight, or do you remember when D Rose's retirement ceremony last season?
All the days are the same to me.
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's when you're in season, the days of the week just don't matter. But so, curious to see who will show up for this. I think a lot of Derrick's former teammates made an appearance at the 1-4-25 ceremony last season. I expect a lot of them to make another appearance. I saw that Joakim shared the announcement on his Instagram because, of course, I'm always checking Joakim's Instagram every day when he posts something new. Not a stalker, just a soon-to-be best friend. I saw a lot of Bulls fans on Twitter this morning very excitedly talking about this and wanting to go to this event. And I did also see some Bulls fans kind of lamenting that it's part 2 of something that's already been done. But before we dive into that, though, I am curious to get your thoughts on the giveaways. And Katie, I want your input too, because they chose 4 elements of Derrick's career, I guess is the way that they described it, with these figurines. There's 4 collectibles. Derrick Rose Rookie of the Year, which shout out to him for being a Rookie of the Year. That giveaway will be on November 4th when they take on the Sixers. Then there's Face Mask Derrick, which will be the giveaway on December 17th when they host the Cavaliers. There's MVP Derrick on February 22nd when they host the New York Knicks. And then another home game against the Cavs on March 19th is Green Jersey Derrick. Collect the whole set. Why Face Mask Derrick? That was my first thought. Katie, why Face Mask Derrick?
Hi, my mic is working now.
Hey.
I actually really like Face Mask Derrick. I'm here for this.
Okay.
I think that's a good call because it is like very distinctive. It's not just like him in another jersey, whatever. My beef is with the green one.
Not a fan of the green.
No, it's just not, like, I understand.
Back in that era, they busted out the St. Patty's themed jerseys in, a home game somewhere in March.
Right, and I totally get that, but why is that distinctive to Derrick? It's not. It's just distinctive to, like, that era of the Bulls. Like, that's not a Derrick thing to me. That's just a 2010 thing to me. So, like, that's where my beef is. I like the mask. I think that was, like, a specific part of his career. The trophy makes sense. The rookie makes sense. I'm not with the green. I'm not feeling that.
Not with the green, but you are with the face mask.
I will say they clearly took a page out of Taylor Swift's book here with the, different variants and all that stuff. So shout out to the Bulls.
Does she give figurine giveaways to her tour attendees?
No, but she releases like 4 versions of the same thing. So
I see.
All right, in the comments, I need people to reply. Love. Do you think that Matt loves Joakim more or Katie loves Taylor Swift more? Tell us what you think. Oh,
come on. No contest.
I don't know.
Katie, would you take a bullet for Taylor Swift?
It would depend on the context.
No, context does not matter to me.
I
would take a bullet for Joakim.
I feel like I don't have to because she has bodyguards,
But okay, say she doesn't.
So I guess the answer is not.
I'm gonna start a poll.
Okay, you start a poll. That's fine. But I think your non-answer to the question is the answer to the question. I clearly love Joakim more than Katie loves Taylor Swift.
We'll see what the poll says.
Exactly. Alex thinks that the St. Patty's one is the best one. I also like likeness is hard to do with action figures and figurines. I weirdly think that the face mask Derrick, when I looked through them all, was the one who most closely resembled what Derrick actually looked like in that season when he not only had the face mask, but he was rocking a bit more of like a high, a high fade hairstyle. D Rose, face mask D Rose was the beginning of the 15-16 Bulls season, which was Derrick's last season with the Bulls before getting traded to the Knicks. It was also the first year of Fred Hoiberg, and the Bulls missed the playoffs that year. Didn't go. Why is that a significant part of Derrick's Chicago Bulls tenure?
It was a notable thing back then when they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, that was back when they went every year, except that year they didn't. I don't get it.
I think they're just looking for ways to distinguish so that they can make more of the action figures. Like, I think, they like whenever they do the like custom jerseys, they did this a couple years ago where they had like a Zach LaVine jersey, a Caruso jersey, a Vooch jersey. Like, they just want to have different options, more collectibles out there. And so I think they just needed to find ways to distinguish it. Because if you do like Derrick's like celebrations from game winners, one of them would just be him standing there.
Right.
And like, you can't put Joakim also. I mean, maybe you could, but like,
I'm glad you brought that up because that was my thought. I was like, ditch the face mask Derrick and replace it with Game 3 buzzer beater, just stone-faced Derrick with action figure Joakim in also the same packaging, hoisting him up. It's a 2-for-1 giveaway.
Well, it's supposed to be
2 action figures. You get Joe and Derrick.
Yeah, it's like a Derrick Rose thing. It's not like a Joakim thing. So I get why they are. I get why they had to make variations of it. And I think, it's just like different collectibles. They have giveaways for a lot of different games, whether it's a hat or a jersey or a bobblehead or whatever. Like, these are just other options that will be out there. I don't know why they settled on 4. Maybe they could have done 3 and dropped the green one. Maybe they could have done 2 and dropped the face. It's like they just came up with some options, I guess.
Can I offer a few potential, just 2 potential replacements for
Please,
the green
yes.
one? So a lot of people are going to be mad at this one, and I am not sorry about it.
Taylor Swift has nothing to do with Derrick Rose's jersey getting retired, Katie, if that's the path you're heading down.
Don't piss me off, Matt. What about like a suit?
A suit?
He wore a lot of suits. He wore a lot.
I was actually gonna say.
Of suits.
I was actually gonna say
while
there's
he
no
was
way
injured and not playing.
Yes.
Why would they wouldn't do that?
I'm just saying. Okay.
The reality is, this makes you realize how few games he played relative to how long he was on the Bulls. Which,
right,
grand scheme of things, it wasn't that long to begin with. Like he had like 3 years, which is crazy. I mean, like, obviously he was there for more than that, and he had to come back and he was around for much longer, but it's like they didn't have a lot of games to choose from because he just didn't play that much, unfortunately.
And
it's
then
true.
Here's my next one. Why not like All-Star Derrick Rose?
All-Star would have been good.
Great.
That clip of
Great.
him at
Not
the
in a Bulls
All-Star
jersey.
game where he doesn't dance is like so iconic. Like, that would have been a really good
It
one.
is. And you got Rookie of the Year Derrick, you got MVP Derrick as 2 of this collector set of 4. His first All-Star appearance, which was his second season in the league, between being Rookie of the Year and being league MVP. I think that's a great call, Katie. You could have had, first All-Star.
Was he wearing
Derrick.
a Bulls jersey in that? Like, could they have? Is there a way they could have made it? Or were
That's
those like, how they used to wear like their own hometown jerseys,
Right,
Or
yeah.
like they had a logo of it. Like, I remember, I know obviously like in the 90s they would literally wear their team's jerseys, but I remember like All-Star jersey with like a big Lakers emblem on it,
Right.
for Kobe
Yeah.
or something. I don't remember exactly, or like a Cavs one for LeBron or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm sure they just wanted it to be like Bulls centric, and there just weren't a lot of options, unfortunately.
I'm trying to find. So it looks like we can dig and find what the 2009-10 NBA All-Star jersey format was, because I wouldn't have minded seeing one of those in Derrick's little collection of not bobbleheads, but figurines. We all know Chuck owns the bobblehead market around here. All right, we got to knock out a couple ads. When we come back on the other side, I want to talk a bit more about this D Rose night, what it means for not only him, but the fans, the organization. And then after that, we'll talk rotations. Hit the like button and vote in that poll, and you know the correct answer to that poll. Ads. Today's show brought to you by Circa Sportsbook. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports is sports betting the way it should be. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service featuring real human beings instead of those stupid, annoying, good-for-nothing AI chatbots. Get them out of my life. Circus got humans to talk to. I love that. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, even in-game betting, Circus Sports has it for you. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 21 and older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Not one. Not two. Not three. 4 seasons.
4!
Nobody likes being hot, sweaty, and sticky. Least of all me. I hate it. Hate is a strong word, but I really hate being hot and sweaty. And 4 seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric, that's 4 things, has been serving the Chicagoland area for over 50 years. Now is the time to get your air conditioning checked out. You might want to start thinking about that heating too, because winter is around the corner. And our friends at 4 Seasons, they're experts there, can have you ready with new AC installation, maintenance, and repair. It has been a brutally hot summer, and when it's hot and humid, you know you want to have your home cool and comfortable. And 4 Seasons expert technicians ensure you always have reliable service, and they won't charge you more for service during nights, weekends, and holidays. Schedule your 4 Seasons AC tune-up today. Save $50 and enjoy a 1-year no breakdown guarantee. Plus, you can save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems with 4 Seasons. New AC units from $39 a month, and AC furnace combos from $57 a month. Your trusted local experts are 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit 4seasionsheatingtooling.com for other special offers and money-saving coupons. That's 4seasonsheatingcooling.com.
And we're back. CHGO Bulls rolls along on Thursday. Peck, Goat, Katie on the controls. And you, our fellow Bulls fans in that chat, hit the like button if you didn't do it during the ads. It's time now to take the temp. Taking the temp brought to you by our friends at 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric, who Goat just told you about. Visit 4seasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's 4seasonsheatingcooling.com. And Goat, I'm going to take the temp of our chat as we're talking about Derrick Rose's retirement night, which was announced earlier today, will be January 24th, 2026, as the Bulls host the Celtics. Shout out to our guy, French Bulls fan, who said, D. Rose Jersey Retirement Night is 2 days after me and my girlfriend's 20th anniversary. Shout out to both of y'all. We had plans to go to Argentina, but she said she's okay to go to Chicago instead. Man, that's true love.
You should go to Argentina, man. That sounds way better.
I'd lean
in
Argentina,
mid-January,
by the way. But hey, whatever Clem's lady wants.
It's gonna be summer down there.
Ooh, yeah. Shout out to the Quaff also, who mentioned it was his birthday. Kimberly, shout out to you, saying, I don't know how they can do it better than last year's ceremony. Dread saying, I wish I could go, but those tickets are way too dang much. Eric J saying, toys are cash grab. Them choosing to retire his number this season instead of last year on his night is a cash grab. Will I be there? Yes, LOL. So, okay, I think that that comment from Eric is kind of
ISO cam, Katie.
Like, it is
get it ready,
nailing how Bulls fans feel about this. Bulls fans want to honor Derrick Rose. Most Bulls fans, I would say, agree. Well over 50% agree. I know some dissent. That Derrick Rose's number 1 jersey belongs in the rafters and that no Bull should ever wear that number ever again. I would be shocked if a straw poll of Bulls fans did not say that confidently. I feel that way as a Bulls fan. I also feel as a Bulls fan that they could have done this last year. Why 2? Why 2? There is only one answer for why 2. Derrick Rose nights. Money, please. Derrick Rose announced his retirement in late September of last year, 2024. September 24th, 2024, I believe. That means the Bulls had 3 months to plan his retirement ceremony, which happened in early January 2025. 3 months. And in that 3 months, to their credit, they pulled off a beautiful ceremony for Derrick that night. We were there. Shout out to CHGO Bulls diehards who came with us to observe it from one of the suites up in the rafters. It was an awesome night. I did it under protest because I don't like spending money on this team right now as a fan because I don't think they have earned my money as a fan right now. Still believe that right now. There is no reason other than cash grab. Eric in the chat is right. Cash grab. If you had 3 months to organize it and executed it brilliantly in January of this past season, put his jersey up there. You got friends in town. You got family in town. You got his former coach, Tibbs, and the Knicks in town. Everybody's there. Put the jersey up. Why didn't they? Money. Money, 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 money. As a fan, it drives me freaking crazy. And it should drive you crazy too. Dreads in the chat, I really want to go, but dang, those tickets. Somebody I saw was talking about it on Twitter, like within an hour or so of this news, that some ticketing site, tickets to this game have exploded in prices. Like 150% increase on what they were before this news dropped. Cheapest ticket to get in the door, upwards of $300. And it's not like the Bulls are collecting all of that if some of it's on resale ticketing sites. I get that. But even still, having a second night at all, it's a money grab. It's pinching the nostalgia vein and sucking dry Bulls fans' loyalty and dedication to this team and this specific player who means so much to Bulls fans and the people of Chicago. It is a love-hate relationship as a Bulls fan of knowing what this night means for Derrick and the fans who love and appreciate him and why the organization is doing it. Because they might say they're doing it for Derrick, and partly they are. But don't forget those other nights that aren't Derrick Rose night where you can show up and get a Derrick Rose action figure. Don't forget to get those tickets for that night. It drives me crazy. It freaking drives me crazy. I don't want, as a fan, to have to complain about the fact that Derrick Rose's jersey retirement is a cash grab. If the team were better, I wouldn't complain. And I would pay a high price to go be there and see it myself as a fan because I want to. You could have done this. You could have done this on January 4th. There's no reason that they couldn't do it the one time. There is only one reason they didn't just do it the one time and put his jersey up there back on January 4th. It's because they wanted more freaking money. Squeeze every last dollar they can out of the D-Rose nostalgia. It truly sickens me. I wish it weren't the case, but it is. So if you want to go to Derrick Rose night and spend a bunch of money, I don't blame you. I don't fault you for it. Bulls fan, how you want a Bulls fan. It sucks. It freaking sucks that I feel this way.
I have to follow that somehow. I'm not going to be able to. But I will say this. I genuinely think that they, for whatever reason, didn't think about retirement last year when they made the decision to honor his career and jersey retirement.
Right.
When they decided to commemorate his retirement. I don't know why that would be. I don't disagree with you on any of that. I think it's pretty transparent. Like, this is not a good team. It has not been a good team for the last 10 years. And they're trying to tap into ways to keep people coming and keep the business rolling. I think that's why you're starting to see like a lot of these teams that are sort of family run are selling nowadays. The Celtics, the Lakers just got sold. The Blazers just got sold. All sort of family run businesses, but obviously the Bulls are still hanging on. But I just think like when that's the case, you kind of have to think about it in terms of it being a business and them trying to generate revenue. Whereas some of these other teams that are run by, billionaire tech guys, which has different issues for different reasons. But they're just more focused on like investing in them as big, like multi-billion-dollar corporations. There's like nothing you can really do about that, except for like protest, which I'm not going to tell you to do because I want you to come keep watching our show. But I do think that's just kind of like the reality of it. And there is a piece where like two things can be true, which is that side of it, but also that people want to celebrate Derrick. People get excited to be around him and to see how he's doing these days. Like I see so much on social media about like him and his son and like taking him to school the other day. There was that video. People are just excited to see how he's doing. They want to celebrate him. He's obviously an important figure in the community. His jersey does belong up there for a multitude of reasons. And I think it's okay to celebrate that. Could it have been done better, consolidated? For sure. But I also think like fans want this kind of thing. And maybe that's part of the issue too. The other thing I'll say, which is just kind of ironic, is that the more they do these events, whether it's like the Ring of Honor celebrating the 1990s or Derrick Rose retirement ceremony or Derrick Rose Jersey Retirement or Ring of Honor Part 2, it's like, it kind of just like brings up the fact that they haven't been good in so long more than it like, you know, celebrates the past. Like when I consistently think about the Bulls were really good in the 90s, I'm not thinking about like, those were really fun days to watch. I'm thinking about like, wow, that was a long time ago. So it's just kind of ironic that I think the more they do that, the more it will actually be a reminder that this team is so far away from that. So I don't really have the same like frustration or anger around it. I understand why you, Matt, and others would feel that way. And I understand why people would be excited to celebrate him too. I don't really have any sort of emotion behind it, but I just think like the reality is what it is. And them being a team that's like far away from being competitive and them wanting to celebrate iconic figures of their team's history. Yes, they are like connected in some ways, but they're also separate things, or at least they could be considered separate things.
Cameron in the chat saying, I paid $500 for D Rose night last year. Really contemplating if I'm going to the Jersey Retirement or not. French Bulls fan saying, and just wait for that 2027 D Rose statue unveiling. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. They might not go that far as to give D Rose his own statue. There is one statue at that place that is Bulls related. Obviously, a couple of Blackhawks legends. Scotty does have a bust, which like just absolutely.
Do we think that
brutalized?
Who do we think means more to the fans of the Chicago Bulls, Rose or Pippen?
Right now, who means more to Bulls fans? I would lean towards
not just like the fans that are watching the show or like the modern day fans, but like big picture.
I think it is absolutely a generational divide.
Yeah.
If you were around for the true good old days, not the good old days 2.0, where Derrick and Joakim and those guys went to the playoffs a lot and had some good teams and got close once. Good old days 1.0. I still think there is a generation of Bulls fans who see Scottie Pippen as a more impactful player for this organization. He was the second best player on a team that won 6 championships, man.
I think he's for sure the second best player in team history.
But I agree.
Even French Bulls TV, D Rose without a shadow of a doubt.
But see, I think if you were to take a poll these days, who means more to Bulls fans, D Rose or Scottie Pippen? I think D Rose wins that poll in a landslide.
Which is crazy because like I think there is an element of it, and I think Big Dave would argue this, that like him being from Chicago really mattered here.
100%.
And like French Bulls fan, not from Chicago. So like it's
and simultaneously in the years that followed the dynasty ending and breaking up, Scottie Pippen has said and done some strange things that haven't exactly,
that's for sure,
endeared him further to the fan base.
For sure.
Back in the good old days 2.0, when it was Derrick and Joakim and Luol, Scottie was an ambassador for the team. And he was sitting courtside at a lot of home games, waving to the crowd. Bulls fans love seeing Scottie show up to sit courtside and cheer on the team that was good. Those days are now long gone.
Yeah.
And he's just like hawking Bitcoin on Twitter. Like, who means more to Bulls fans right now is obviously Derrick Rose.
At the same point, though, like 6 championships, he had a much more productive career, much more illustrious career. Obviously,
first ballot Hall of Famer.
I mean, yeah. I just think it's interesting to compare those two, who obviously are both like great players, especially at their peaks. But it's just kind of an interesting conversation, I think.
I have a take.
You got a take?
I have a take.
Bring it, Katie.
We got to go to ad. Sorry, we can't hear it. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Do you want me to put you on the ISO cam for the rest of the show?
No, I would really not. I would really not like that.
I think there's a big difference between most valuable and like being more valuable to a fan base and more loved by a fan base. You could absolutely argue, and you'd be correct, that because Scottie Pippen won 6 championships, was part of that dynasty team, he is more valuable to the fan base because of the production that he had. But I think when you have a player, or in this case, an era of like the Rose, Joakim, Carlos Boozer, who we just talked to, go watch that if you haven't already. That less talent, more scrappy, more like hardworking era probably means more to people because it was less about domination and more about like scraping by every night and like just working hard rather than relying on talent. Like I think there's just a difference between who means more and who is more valuable to the fan base. So I think Derrick means more, but Scotty's more valuable, if that makes sense.
It does. I think that's a solid take, and I think again it goes back to being a generational thing because I grew up as a spoiled Bulls fan who was just like, oh, our city's team wins all the championships all the time. Oh yeah, it was kind of annoying. MJ went and played baseball for a minute, and then they lost in that second round to Orlando in '95. But like, no, our team just wins a championship every year. That's how it works. People older than me who have a better memory of the Bulls fighting through the Pistons all those years before getting there have a different understanding and feeling to whereas like when I was, in my 20s and cheering on that D Rose and Joakim team, once again, the Bulls were mirroring the Chicago city image and how I think a lot of the city sports fans feel, which is like the underdog, David taking on Goliath. We're the scrappy, underappreciated team that just might surprise some people and win some games against some teams that we have no business beating. That fit more in line with, I think, a lot of the blue-collar Chicago sports fan vibes than we just win the championship every year. And I think that speaks to what you were saying, Katie, as far as like the reasons why Bulls fans were so enamored with Derrick and those teams of those years. Yeah, because they were, despite all of their talents, looked at as an underdog a lot of the time.
It's a great take because there's like a difference between like the best player and the greatest player, right? Like we talk about like the most valuable player and like the most talented player. Like there is a difference between all those things. So I think Katie makes a great point, even though she's trying to distract me and send us into an ad break.
Break zone. All right, we're going to knock out a couple ads. Hit the like button if you didn't do it the first time around. We'll come back and start talking about Billy D's rotation. Hit the like. Today's show brought to you by Game Time. You looking for tickets? Looking for tickets whose prices fall the closer you get to the event? Check out Game Time. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. You can save even more money with their zone deals where you choose a section in the venue and let Game Time do the selecting of which seats. The fees are always included, so you can know your total up front. No surprise fees at checkout. Plus, that lowest price guarantee means Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find that same ticket on a different site for a cheaper price. They also have your purchase covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code CHGO to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code CHGO to get $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Because go, what time is it? Dude.
You know that moment when you are out in the sun and you realize you forgot your Shady Rays? Maybe you left them on the car and the car rode away. Or maybe you just broke them. Because that happens sometimes when they're attached to your hat.
It happens.
And you throw your hat because you're so angry. And then your Shady Rays break.
Oh,
but guess what? Shady Rays changed the game. Why? Because they have the lost and broken replacement plan. You break them, you lose them, you let them know, and they will ship you a new pair. No questions asked and guilt-free. That's why I bring mine wherever I go, whether I'm driving or whether I'm out on a hike. You never know what's going to happen, and that's why Shady Rays has your back. So we have teamed up with our friends over at Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off. Premium, polarized shades.
Try them yourself.
Try for yourself. The shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shady Rays, y'all, where the Rays are oh so shady. Shout out to Big Dave.
We're back. CHGO Bulls rolled along on Thursday afternoon. Peck,
on a
go.
Thursday.
Katie on the controls, spitting fire takes. That was a good chat. I feel more emotionally healthy than I thought I would coming out of that conversation.
Good.
They're not getting my money, but I feel better.
I was going to ask what you mean, but I don't want to spend a whole another 15 minutes on it.
No. I feel.
But I'm glad to hear that.
I feel more emotionally healthy than I thought I would. Don't give them your money. Okay, moving on. We are about a month out from training camp, and we've been holding on to this convo for a while. We thought today would be a good day to have it, trying to pin down what Billy Donovan will roll out there night one. What was it, October 22nd, their regular season opener this season, I think?
2 months from today.
At home against the Pistons. Yeah, 2 months from tomorrow, which is crazy. Who is that starting five going to be? And who will Billy be using regularly as his bench unit? And this past season, the past few seasons, we've seen Billy expand and shrink his second unit depending on the night, depending on the matchup, depending on how guys are playing, depending on availability and injuries. But so we can kind of talk about, like, if he goes 9, maybe he goes 9.5 and gives a 10th guy some spot minutes. But let's start with the starting unit. I think most Bulls fans right now could confidently say they know 4 of the 5 who will be in Billy's starting lineup night one on that first jump ball. The still unsigned Josh Giddey, he will get signed in some capacity, whether it be qualifying offer or a multi-year deal where they find a compromise. He'll be here. Alongside him in that backcourt will be Coby White, who the Bulls love and want to keep and just used prominently in their regular season schedule rollout and their new pinstripe rollout and all that stuff. Kobe's here. Kobe's going to be here. Modest Buzelis, sophomore season in the NBA, strong finish to his rookie year, all rookie second team. Sky's the limit. Bulls fans fingered crossed that he is the franchise. And 35-year-old, wily vet, reliable old man Vooch entering the final year of his contract as your starting center. All of the questions, Goat, are pointed at who's that fifth starter.
Speaking of Josh Giddey, absolutely hysterical comment towards the top of our show about us hitting on Giddey, which just...
Did you say hating on or hitting on?
Hating on.
Hating on.
Just funny stuff.
That's all we do.
You guys are a riot there in the comments.
I banned that person from our channel.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, watch what you say.
Okay. Don't say anything.
Clearly, I missed something
To
entertaining.
be clear, I was warning the people watching, not you.
Okay. I can't speak anymore. Sorry. You gotta take it from here, Matt. I think there's a lot of options here. And looking at... Okay, I'll say this. Giddey, Kobe, Modest, Vooch, that's pretty close to a lock. Like, I don't want to guarantee anything, but, like, that's probably you're starting 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Yep. If Modest isn't in there, I am marching with torches and pitchforks.
And I think he kind of has to be. Like,
has to be.
Yeah, the way he ended
He's
the
your
season,
franchise.
him being as important to the team as he is, and there not being any other better options. Like, I mean, if they had signed Giannis or something, then yeah, maybe you bring Modest off the bench. But, like, they've got to keep building. They can't go backwards. We know what that looks like, and how damaging it can be when you start trying to go backwards. So I think the big question is at the 3, and there are plenty of options. Even just looking at the roster from last year, I mean, Lonzo started 14 games. He's obviously gone, but, like, when he ramped up and when he was healthy, he was starting. Patrick Williams started 36 games. A lot of that was at the 4 before Modest transitioned into that role.
36 wasted starts.
But he played a lot of games and started a good amount of them. Trey Jones started 9 of his 18 games. He obviously just re-signed and figures to be like, I mean, anytime a team like re-signs a guy for an extended period, you are investing in him. And when you're investing in him, you're like trying to
you're planning on playing him and him having a significant role.
Especially when it's re-signing a guy. Like when you're going out there and signing a free agent, you don't know how it's going to necessarily play out. We saw this with Jalen Smith. We saw it with Javon Carter, where like those guys just didn't really live up to the contracts that Arturas probably thought he was signing them to. But we know what Trey Jones looks like when he's healthy and with the Bulls, and we know how much Billy values him and what he brings to the table. You have Kevin Huerter, who started 16 of his 26 games with the Bulls and was playing some of his best basketball down the stretch. You have Ayo Dosunmu, who started 26 of his 46 games. And we know Billy is like somebody who's not afraid to go with 3 guards.
True. Somebody just mentioned that in the chat.
And we know
French Bulls fan.
And we know how many guards are on this roster right now. Assuming Giddey's back, you have Kobe, Giddey, Ayo, Trey Jones. We didn't even mention Isaac Okoro, who I think of as a 2. and somebody that could certainly be in the mix for this role. You don't trade Lonzo for a guy that you don't plan on playing. So this team is actually much deeper, I think, than most people realize. The guys who are not going to get minutes or are going to be towards the back end of this rotation are also guys that started a handful of games last year and played a lot. I mean, Dalen Terry, 5 starts, 73 games played, 13.5 minutes per game. Julian Phillips, 5 starts in 79 games played, 14 minutes per game. Taylor Horton-Tucker played 58 games, 12 minutes per game. So there's a lot of bodies on this roster. Billy is going to have to consolidate a little bit here, and I think that's why the 3 is interesting. And I think we can kind of isolate it down to a handful of names. I would say the most likely ones, Huerter, Okoro, but I also think you need to throw Ayo and Trey Jones in there.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree that those are kind of like the 4 options at the starting 3? And obviously maybe Giddey is like technically the 3 if you start Trey Jones or Ayo out there. Like
right.
You massage all that stuff, but like in terms of the backcourt, the 1, 2, and 3, I would say Giddey, Kobe, and then either Huerter, Ayo, Trey Jones, or Okoro.
I think those are the 4. I think most people think it'll come down to either Huerter or Okoro for various reasons and what they each could bring to a starting unit. And I think because of the Billy Donovan being enamored with 3-guard lineups thing, it's also possible that you could throw in Ayo and to a similar extent Trey Jones as more dark horse candidates to earn that 5th and final starting spot.
I don't think that this will happen. I'm nearly positive it won't happen to start the season, but maybe towards the back end of the season. Noah Senke could get some minutes there. I'm not saying I expect it or that I anticipate it, but if this season looks at all like last season did, it would not surprise me if you're seeing Modest and Noah out there together, at least for a small portion of the season, depending on how things go.
Andrew in the chat said, I like Okoro starting to balance offense and defense in the first and second units, but I once thought Carter and Craig should start for the same reason, so what do I know? French Bulls fan, we all know Billy loves small lineups, and we'll start Ayo with Giddey and Kobe. Fish saying, I like Huerter for shooting, and we're not playing defense again this year anyway, so free the velvet. So, again, I think it comes down to, I keep thinking about AK saying in that interview when he was out in Vegas for Summer League about establishing this team's defensive identity, and that's why they traded Lonzo Ball. And what they wanted in return for Lonzo Ball was Isaac Okoro. Isaac Noscoro. To me, it's pretty bold to make that trade without having already convinced Billy Donovan, your head coach, who got an extension, you just yourself got an extension, you guys have time to map out your plans. Here are your big grand plans. Put the big map on the big table, Game of Thrones style. Isaac Okoro is a big piece in that plan. If you make that trade, he has to be. If he's not, why the hell did you make that trade?
Well, I think it's possible that they made that trade to, I mean, look, as great as Lonzo was at his prime and as cool as it was to see him recover and return after all those games.
You cash in what you can for Lonzo.
You cash in what you can for Lonzo.
I understand that.
And so maybe they weren't thinking about this as a, replacement for Lonzo, the guy who started 14 games, but maybe they were thinking about this as a guy who could come in and defend off the bench. So I'm not saying I disagree with that because I do think when like AK
Caruso was both at times a starter and a bench guy and the guy who defined their defensive identity.
Exactly. I do think that when AK says something publicly, he generally means it, especially when it comes to like the player stuff. And so would it surprise me at all if Isaac Okoro is the starter? No. I think he's probably one of the better defenders on this team, if not the best on the perimeter at this point. Ayo will certainly have something to say about that. But I think he's like a totally valid option there. My question is, though, is like we also saw Billy just not be willing to play guys if they're not being guarded out there. Mm-hmm. And so Okoro shot 37% on threes last year. He's improved every year. I think he's going to probably look a lot better in the Bulls offense than in the Cavs offense, which is more half-court oriented, which is two bigs, and like the floor spacing is a little bit harder to manage. So I think the transition and the tempo and all that stuff will benefit Okoro, and I assume he'll get some run out there with that lineup. But Billy's not going to like mess around and just like play whoever the front office like just invested in most recently. Like he's going to play the guy who gives him the best chance to win. And I think the guys that he's most confident in of that group are Io, Kevin Huerter, and Trey Jones. Now that could change. The only reason I say that is because we don't have any data or sample size of Billy trusting Okoro because he hasn't been on the team yet. So I think I'm just trying to say that he'll have to earn that in some capacity, and maybe that happens during training camp and preseason. Maybe it happens later on in the season. But whereas I think after the trade, I thought Okoro would slot right in. I am having some more questions right now, and I can really see the value in like all four of these options. Like Io, I think is the best 3-and-D player. Like he's, I think the best combination of 3-point shooting, transition, and defense. Trey Jones also, I think, falls in that category, but he's just a much smaller player, so it's like a little bit harder to defend, especially when you've got Giddey and Kobe out there. But like Huerter's floor spacing, movement, shooting, ability to attack closeouts, like he fit really well into what the Bulls are doing, and the Bulls played really well with him in the starting lineup, and he shot the ball really well and totally changed the dimensions of how you have to guard them. So I do think that there's a strong case for all those guys. Unfortunately, they all have like pretty key flaws or limitations in their game that make it more of a discussion than like an easy answer for me.
Yeah. Matty Legends, and I'll give AK credit that he can recognize defensive talent. Lonzo, Caruso, Io, and Modest. And, you know, despite being very raw, we saw the initial glimpses of the defensive potential that 12th overall pick Noah Asenge has as well when we were out watching him in those summer league games. But yeah, so I think that's what it comes down to with Billy and the decision he has. What around the four that we all are collectively agreeing right now are going to be 4 of the 5 starters, what do you want more of as that 5th guy? What do you want that 5th member of the starting lineup to bring to the table skills-wise? Do you want to go really small, 3-guard lineup and have Trey Jones out there because you like the way that he can penetrate and be an on-ball creator in a variety of ways? Do you want it to be Io, just a solid, sturdy 2-way player? He can bring the ball up the floor at times. He's absolutely lethal in transition, and we know the Bulls want to get out and play fast like they did last season, play even faster than they did last season. Huerter, because he can shoot, and you're going to get up a lot of threes, just like you did last season as part of your new offensive identity. Or Okoro, because your team desperately needs better perimeter defending, because they got hosed on the perimeter last season. Those are the options Billy has to weigh. I still am leaning towards, like, yes, you can have your defensive identity guy coming off the bench. I'm not feeling super confident that it's going to be Okoro. I'm saying if I had to vote today on who it will be, I'm leaning him over Huerter and the rest of the pack like 55%.
This might make your ears bleed, but I also think Patrick might be in that mix too. Like,
out of here. Get out.
I just think like
French Bulls fan said, as long as Patrick doesn't play, I'm cool with it. Dreads just quickly follow that by saying P. Will's going to start no matter what.
They have to give him opportunity.
No, like they don't.
They do.
No, they don't.
If they want to be able to trade him at any point, they are going to have to get him on the floor.
Who's going to trade for Patrick Williams other than a team taking on his money
right now
to get an asset from the Bulls to do so?
Right now, no one. But if he plays better and like gets it together a little bit, then maybe he can rehab his value. And
in honor of our friend Mark K joining us yesterday, I will slam my fist on my armrest and say that if doesn't exist. If Patrick can play better, if Patrick can show something stronger, if they can raise his trade value, you can't bank on that. You can't make that the reason to give him minutes if he's not earning the minutes.
You also can't let $56 million of like dead money just rot on your roster. Like he is going to. I'm not saying he like is going to play 36 minutes a night and start every game, but like I do think he will have some opportunities, because there's no other great answer at the 3, and like I just think that's the reality of the situation, whether you like it or not. So. I agree though that like you are going to have to make some concessions when it comes to your identity with whoever you choose, right? Like if you have Okoro out there, you're limiting what you can do offensively. You just are. He's not the floor spacer that Kevin Huerter is. He's not the transition player that Io is, but he's a good defender, and that can help kind of reorient who you are. But the problem is then, does it sacrifice something on the offensive end? And I would say it probably does. Same thing for Huerter. Like, he's just not an elite defensive player, and it's very difficult to survive in today's NBA with multiple negative defenders out there. And that's what you have when you build around Kobe, Giddey, and Vooch back there. So I think it's tough. I probably would I'd probably lean Ayo at this point, I think, because he just gives you the best chance to have it both ways, of somebody who can shoot the three, who can get out in transition, who can guard the point of attack. You're a little bit smaller. I think your bench unit is like a little clunky. You have Trey Jones, Huerter, and Okoro, which is not terrible, but just not like a ton of dynamic playmaking. You probably have to stagger Kobe in with some of those groups. But that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, just because I think he gives you the best chance of a two-way option.
Viper Strike in the comments said, I want to say Ayo when he isn't hurt out there. I think the word going around is that Ayo is ahead of schedule in his off-season recovery from that shoulder surgery that ended his season early last year. So if Ayo comes into camp healthy, stronger than ever, doing his post-surgery workouts and such, then I can hear that. I can hear Ayo going into training camp and saying with his play, Billy, I'm a starter on this team. I can see that happening.
It's happened time and time again.
I can see that happening. I'm just saying, and look, dude, I love Ayo. And I think when Ayo starts and he's like, oh, I'm starting, dude, he produces. Whatever he's asked of, he's produced. He had a little bit of a sophomore slump season, but he had a strong bounce back. I think most Bulls fans like what Ayo does out there. We hear Bulls fans every day in our chat saying, trade Kobe, keep Ayo. Like, there's a huge contingent of Bulls fans who believe that strongly in Ayo Dosunmu. Whether it's Ayo proving in training camp that he is one of the 5 best players on this team, and that therefore means Isaac Okoro, we traded for you, we like you, we want you, you're coming off the bench. To me, it's like the same vibe, the same feeling I get as a Bulls fan as when I just flipped out at you about you saying, hey, Pat's going to get in there and get some minutes. Because both of those things, whether it be Okoro's got to start or Pat's got to get some minutes, is thinking that because our front office went out and either acquired that player in a trade, in Okoro's case, or paid Pat a lot of guaranteed money on nothing but potential, as opposed to earning that contract, and is under contract, as you pointed out, for a lot more years as we sit here today. That's not earning a role in Billy's rotation. That's getting a spot in the rotation because the front office at some point decided they wanted you here. And I have a very hard time as a fan, like, just gluing those things together and justifying them. Just because Pat is making this money on this contract that AK decided to give him doesn't mean he earns minutes in this rotation. Just because you traded for Okoro doesn't mean that Okoro should be in Billy's starting lineup if Ayo outplays him in training camp. That's like the frustrating part about trying to figure out who's playing on this team. Because there are people the front office is invested in a variety of ways that I am hard-pressed to believe are going to prove to Billy out of the gate that they are worthy of the roles that the front office sees for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I think Patrick is going to outperform, but I'm saying I think he's going to be in the running for that. And like, I don't think he's going to be like, okay, you and many other people are sitting here saying like, we can't judge Giddey at his very best because that's not a true representation of who he was. Patrick has never had the highs that Giddey had, but I also don't think it's fair to like judge him at his very worst. Like I just don't. I don't think he is a very good player. He did not play well last year. But I think if he performs well in training camp and like provides what the Bulls need, which is defense and three-point shooting at that position, then I think he will have a chance to compete for it. I'm not saying he's going to have it or that they're going to gift him a bunch of minutes or anything like that. I just think he's going to be in the running. But yeah, I think as we talk more through this, like even if you do decide to start Patrick, then you just have like Okoro, Huerter, Trey Jones, and Ayo coming off the bench. And that's like too many guards to figure out how to mix into that rotation. It probably makes sense to have Patrick in that group if you decide to play him at all. Maybe he's out of the rotation. I don't really know how that's going to go. I think that's a possibility too. So yeah, I said Ayo. I think I am feeling that's probably where I lean at this point. Because at the end of the day, like you can't like go swinging from one end of the spectrum to the other in terms of like, we're going all offense this year, we're going all defense this year. Like you do have to find some two-way players. And unfortunately the Bulls don't have a lot of those guys, but Ayo is one of the few ones who at least could be. He's obviously had some ups and downs with his shooting, but to me, I think he's the most complete of those players just in terms of being able to play on both sides.
I agree with you. And again, I haven't watched as much of Isaac Okoro in the span of his NBA career as I have watched Ayo and anybody else who's been wearing a Bulls jersey for the last several years. And I am skeptical of Okoro just because I didn't love him when I was looking at him as a draft prospect coming in, and have not become more enamored with him when I have watched him, because certain limitations of his game that I saw when he was being scouted coming into the draft, I think are still here. We know what those are. That doesn't mean I'm not open-minded to Okoro winning a starting spot in training camp. That could very well happen. And if he is out there on a nightly basis proving that he earned that starting spot with his play because of his defense and willingness to shoot and being a legitimate floor spacing threat, great. I will be fully on board with that. I could get on board with that a heck of a lot easier than I can mentally, gymnastics-wise, get on board right now with the thought of Patrick Williams earning an actual spot in this rotation. I know you said, we say we can't expect Giddey to be the best version of himself that we saw for a small sample size and judge him that thusly. And so the same must be true. We can't judge Patrick at his worst. I hear that logic. I am saying I have gotten to a point with Pat, and I think a lot of Bulls fans have, where I don't see a huge chasm between judging him at his worst and his whole body of work being judged. Like, yeah, he had an abysmal, worst of his career shooting efficiency number last year. He shot just sub 40% from the field. And yes, did shoot 35% from three, but that was still a career low from three. But when you talk about who's going to produce, who's going to give you something off the bench, whether it be defensive hustle, creating loose balls, creating havoc, creating transition opportunities for your offense, or capitalizing in that transition as a quick, willing shooter, or somebody who can take the basket to the hole, or has a scoring game of their own as a second unit who needs some scoring punch. You can rattle off a bunch of names on this roster who can give you some or any of those things before you get to Mr. 9 points, 3 rebounds, Patrick Williams, in my opinion. And that is just my opinion, but when, as an exercise, I was just typing up our rundown earlier today thinking, all right, who's the bench unit? If you're going 9 deep, Billy Donovan, I said whoever doesn't start between Huerter and Okoro, or Ayo or Trey Jones. So the three of them who aren't starting between Huerter, Okoro, Trey Jones, and Ayo, there's 3 of your bench. The fourth of your bench, a.k.a. going 9, would be one of Collins or Jalen Smith, theoretically, subbing in Vooch, getting the old man some rest. That means only 10th man in the rotation / spot minute / mop-up duty. Patrick Williams is under that tier. The way that I see things right now, unless something drastic and shocking happens in training camp, Pat's out of my rotation if I'm the head coach of this team right now.
Okay. Great.
I mean, do you disagree with that?
I just said he was like going to be in the running for a rotation spot, and nobody else has like clearly taken that job yet. So yeah, he could be in the rotation. He could also not be. There's a lot of guys to juggle here, so somebody is going to lose out minutes. I think they'll probably go 10 deep this year just because you kind of have to.
Especially if you're playing fast.
Especially if you're playing fast. So even still, I mean, that leaves guys on the outside looking in. Jalen Smith, possibly. I mean, Jalen Smith and Javon Carter, I think, probably will be for sure out of the rotation. You have Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry, I think, are probably just going to be out of the rotation. And then you have 6 other bench guys that are, including Noah Senge, who ideally you would get some minutes for, but it's just there's a lot of bodies.
I mean, you mentioned that Dalen and Julian both played 70-plus games last season? Yeah. 75-plus games last season, but each, somewhere around 13 to 15 minutes per game?
Yeah, the problem is that, like, oftentimes a lot of those minutes are coming, especially for, like, the starts, when other guys are hurt. So, like, when you just break it down by, like, who is in the rotation, the roster or, like, the depth chart on the season will look a little bit weird. And, like, there won't be minutes for everyone because, like, Lonzo played 35 games because Ayo missed, the back half of the year. So that will also play a big role in it. And, like, if Ayo and Lonzo stay healthy, then I don't think Dalen and Julian are getting those same opportunities that they got, especially down the stretch.
Yeah. Dreads in the chat, and we'll wrap up with this, said, P. Will, so lucky he got that deal. If he played off a qualifying offer, he wouldn't be in the league. But he spelled qualifying offer, just capital Q offer. For a second, I read it coiffer, but with a Q. That's the coiffer with a C. We are out of time for today. I get riled up when I'm thinking about who's going to get minutes on this team, which honestly is exciting. It's been a long offseason. We're in like week 4 of the dog days weeks of the offseason, and we are getting close to training camp. And that's the stuff that I think the true CHGO Bulls fans live for, is trying to figure out who on this team is going to go out there and earn themselves a spot on this young team that's trying to be better than they were last year. We will be off tomorrow and having a show for y'all on Saturday, which is Bulls Fest, Saturday and Sunday. If you are going to Bulls Fest on Saturday, we will be there Saturday. Come find us, come say hi, come hang out. Should be a fun time for Bulls fans. Enjoy the Chicago summer. Enjoy the vibes with your fellow Bulls Nation people. Read GOAT stuff on allchgo.com. Read his exclusive interview with the one and only Kevin Huerter, who we were talking about fighting for a starting spot in training camp a month from now. Become a diehard if you aren't already, so that you can read GOAT's exclusive interview with Kevin Huerter. Follow the GOAT, Will_Gottlieb on Twitter. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Queen of the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. Have a great Thursday night. We will talk to you soon, Bulls Nation. See you, Red. Be good.
We all silly like the mayor.